think about your safe place. Lowest level of your home, preferably a basement, interior room, away from outside walls, away from windows. Turn up the TV so you can hear us, and you'll know when storm is moving away from you. And if you are not in the path of these storms, now could be a good opportunity for you to download our Eyewitness weather app. Sandy, I'm going to go back over to the chroma key in a second here. I'm just going to change a perspective. We'll walk through this. And I'll just be bouncing back and forth between the podium and the chroma key here. The strongest part of this storm, right here, near Ellington, west of Platte, near Chemung, right here. Torrential rain, strong damaging wind, large hail, possibility of a tornado, and it's going into Bradford County. So we have Leroy Township. You are in the path of this storm, and your weather's going to get nasty. Franklandale, you're in the path of this storm. Your weather's going to, it's bad right now in Franklandale because of what we have going on here. It is going to get worse. And perhaps South Branch, you are within that tornado warning, but we kind of need to keep an eye on what is going on back here. So that's the normal perspective that we kind of show you on a regular basis that you see kind of every night. But when we get into our severe weather mode, we have some different features that we can kind of show you. Our radar is, I think, one of the best. We have some pretty neat technology to kind of walk you through these storms and give you a sense of what is actually taking place. Purple and pinks on this image kind of indicate to us where we have that possibility of some larger hail near Franklandale, but this is the stronger part of the storm. That is what we're going to keep an eye on as it gets closer to southern Bradford County, or when it actually moves into southern Bradford County. So that's one part of that. We can check on the wind within that. And again, we normally look for greens and reds together here, but we don't see that too much right now. More so what we see are some lighter and darker colors together. That could also indicate not only hail within that storm, but perhaps a little bit of rotation within that storm too. We can also take a look at the wind within that storm in a different capacity, where we have some wind shear and the path of the wind shear, where there is some rotation within that storm. Right now, look where that is. It's near that more intense part of that in Sullivan County right now, just about to get into parts of Bradford County. So those are just several things that we can kind of look at, and we can also check out the hail component. The problem that we're kind of working with right now in this part of the world is the distance from the radar. So it kind of gets the top part of the thunderstorm because it's a little bit farther away from the radar itself. So it kind of scans up, and when you're that distance away, sometimes it's kind of hard to sense what is going on in this part of the storm. Even if we don't know exactly the minute details of what is happening within this storm, you can see some yellows, oranges, and deep reds here. Torrential rain, damaging wind, hail is a good possibility as well. Also, keep in mind that with the wind, even outside of this tornado chance, even with the wind, we have outside of the tornado chance, is what I'm trying to say, we have that potential for nasty wind. just like you would with any other thunderstorm. And that wind is nasty enough to also cause damage. It can cause damage to trees, power lines. It can blow around patio furniture. It can cause damage to your home, depending on how strong it is. So we just have, I think, over the next couple of hours, some pretty nasty weather coming for some of us. Hopefully, most of us are spared the nasty weather, but it looks like it is going to be a bit of an intense weather afternoon, and perhaps even some of this could potentially linger into the evening hours as well. I see Thomas back in the Weather Center for a little bit. Thomas, what do you have going on over there with that storm that's just about to get into Bradford County?
So right now, Josh, we're mostly watching this main one that's moving a little ways towards the northeast. It's moving about 25 miles an hour, so it doesn't look like it's going to be able to get a lot farther into the northeast in a super strong fashion. We're going to keep an eye on that one. We've also got the one that's moving into Towanda as well. The strongest one, as you mentioned, though, is just starting to move into Bradford County. We're watching both of these cells. There's a couple different stronger ones. Depends on exactly where we're going to be watching these storms. But go ahead and keep an eye on this, especially if you're in Towanda, Bradford County, Susquehanna. If you're in Lackawanna, Luzerne, you're wondering about these. They are drifting that way, but right now we're going to focus on these storms as these are still moving towards the northeast. The warnings you're seeing back here to the west as well, back towards Marsh Hill, this is likely to be canceled in the next few minutes as these storms continue to move towards the northeast. We've not heard that any of this has been confirmed on the ground yet, but we are seeing the indications on radar, as Josh has been mentioning, that there is enough rotation in these storms to develop something at the surface. So we're watching for that very high wind going different directions, creating some rotation on the radar. And that's what Josh was pointing out just a few minutes ago. Watching a couple of these cells that are moving strong enough, and looking right here, timing this out into Leroy. This center of this one just in about 20 minutes or so. Still has a ways to go before it's going to be getting there. The tornado warning itself still till about 3:45. A lot of these are going to be canceled back further to the west. This one back towards Lycoming County should be canceled in the next few minutes unless they issue something else in the next few, but I believe they're going to let that one expire. We're watching multiple cells all going more or less over the same areas, which is why this is a particularly dangerous situation. I'm just going to zoom this out a bit so you can kind of see what's happening in the atmosphere. We have multiple cells all moving towards the northeast in a row, but the lines, again, back towards Lycoming County, that original warning, that looks like that will probably be allowed to expire in the next few minutes as these storms have moved out of that warning. And I do want to let you know as well, we're watching this storm that's a little further to the south. This is over Union and Snyder County. This one is over the Lewisburg, Middleburg area. That one is also moving slowly towards the northeast. But at the moment, there's no tornado warning for that. It's showing a little rotation, but if you are in the path, if you're in the Milton, the Lewisburg area, White Deer, keep an eye on that. And as Josh mentioned, go ahead and download the Eyewitness Weather app. We've got radar right there that you can use to track these storms as we go. And let's go back up to these storms. You'll notice that they are now back. The initial one over Lycoming County has been canceled, and we're seeing the storms continue to move more towards the northeast as they continue to take that track. It's moving about 20-25 miles an hour. And like we mentioned, make sure you're staying inside if you are in the path of these storms. We're on Minorville, Leroy. Next few minutes, it's going to be reaching your area. I'm going to switch this over to velocity, just so you can kind of see where we're picking out those higher points in the radar. And you can kind of see where the drop-off is in those colors. That's where we're trying to watch for some of these little rotation couplets. There's not a lot, but there is just a little. And we're kind of watching both of them. There's the one that's moving over to Towanda, very broad, weak. It's not very strong at the moment. This one has been the stronger one that's just moving south of Leroy, out just west of Minorville as well. It does look like the next few hours continue to be stormy. We're going to keep an eye on the showers and storms as it continues to move more towards the northeast, about 25 miles an hour. If you are in the path of these storms, make sure you're getting to your safe place. Make sure you're getting indoors, the lowest level of your home, and get as far away from the outside world as you possibly can. Stay away from the windows and from the outside walls. and always watch what's above you. If you have a helmet, if you've got a safety kit, bring that with you. If you have a mattress, pillows, get inside. A tub is always a good option as well. You can put a mattress over that if you need to be protected. And make sure you're grabbing tennis shoes as well, because if a storm does actually touch down and it starts rolling through, that can create a lot of damage, a lot of bad things outside if you have to walk around. A good thing to think about after we get past this storm. But showers, thunderstorms continue for many of us. If you're in Bradford County, keep an eye on these storms. There's still very weak rotation. Doesn't look like we're seeing a lot, but we're still watching just south of the Minorville area. It looks like the rotation trying to skip a little, but these storms drifting towards Towanda in the next few minutes as well. Stevensville, more showers, more thunderstorms likely as we go further towards the southeast as well. And it does look like we're going to be dealing with that as we go in the next couple of hours. More on that tornado warning. Josh?
Yeah. Well, let's kind of recap what we have going on here. So, Sandy, I want to use links 1, please, and just kind of give you a sense of where we are. As a reminder, we have, as you see on the bottom of your screen, tornado warning for Bradford County until 4. We also have a tornado warning for Sullivan County, the northwest part of Sullivan County near Piatt and Bethel. That is in place until 3:45. Tioga County, 3:45, as well as parts of northern Lycoming County under a tornado warning until 3:45. But I would suspect that the Tioga and Lycoming County warnings, or at least that part of the warning, is going to expire or be canceled. This is the big picture. Socked in with clouds early this morning, and then we start to get breaks of sun that causes the atmosphere to bubble up. We get more what we call instability, showers and storms fire up, and that's what's happening where the sun came out first. Parts of northeastern Pennsylvania, you took a little bit longer for that sun to make an appearance at your house, but it's happening, and we do expect this nasty weather to continue to press off towards the east and northeast in the next couple of minutes. For the moment, right along Interstate 81, things are kind of quiet. Poconos are kind of quiet too, but that's not the case in central Pennsylvania. We have nasty thunderstorms, Union and Snyder counties, a little bit farther north. I'd say north of Williamsport into Sullivan and Bradford County. This is nasty weather right here. All of us, all of central and northeastern Pennsylvania, are under a tornado watch for the next several hours. We have a couple of tornado warnings that we have been breaking down for you here, and that's why we're interrupting what you normally watch this afternoon. Threats from these storms. All potential hazards are on the table here. So with the tornado watches that are in place, there's certainly that opportunity for a tornado to come with any of these thunderstorms that are developing. Torrential rain. Torrential rain, a lot of humidity right now, so we get downpours, and that also increases the chance of flash flooding. Something else to think about. Another thing here, the wind. Outside of that tornado possibility, the wind can be strong in these storms. And when the wind is that strong, you know what this is like. This is toss around the garbage cans. This is bring down trees and power lines. Power outages are possible. Those trees fall on some property. That causes damage. So that's why we're thinking there's that possibility of some minor damage to property as these storms come in. And we also have that possibility of some hail. 2 tornado warnings right here. Northern Lycoming, Sullivan County, that is 1. So this one is until 3:45, and the one for Bradford County is until 4 o'clock. This right here for Union and Snyder County, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So no tornado warning with that one, but we will certainly be keeping an eye on that for sure. So primarily the strong, severe storms for the moment are in central Pennsylvania. Sandy, we can go over to our other computer here. There we have it. Let me take you into that thunderstorm that is in Union and Snyder County right now. Heavy rain from about Middleburg, or about to get into Middleburg. And let's kind of put this into a better perspective for you. So Port Anne, Penns Creek, Mifflinburg, Forest Hill, Middleburg, the weather's pretty nasty. We show you kind of this imagery on an almost nightly basis here. So the intense part of that storm is from Port Anne to Penns Creek to Mifflinburg. Torrential downpours, strong if not damaging wind, large hail. This is moving in the direction of Lewisburg, Cap Township, Sunbury, and Selinsgrove. Next several minutes here, right along the Susquehanna River, the weather is going to get nasty. So if the kids are playing outside or swimming in the pool right now, get them in the house, because this means business here as it comes through. So that's the severe thunderstorm. I don't want to say it's just a severe thunderstorm, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning for Union and Snyder counties. But this is an even stronger storm that is now into parts of southern Bradford County. The flashing red box, for some perspective here, that's the tornado warning. So right now, we have the strongest part of the storm moving away from Cold Spring. All right, the heaviest rain south of Leroy Township near Barclay, LaQuinn, Quinlan Town. It's moving off towards the east-northeast. So Highland Township, Franklandale. Franklandale just went through this nasty storm near Bradford, or near Towanda, excuse me. So that was in Franklandale. Little bit of a break, but this weather is in Franklandale is going to get a lot worse here in the next couple of minutes. Kellogg Township, South Branch, New Albany. You could also get clipped with this storm. We've been talking about being in the path of this storm. Think about your safe place. Think about some of the things that you need to do in order to keep you and your family safe. It's the normal perspective that we show you here with the radar, but let's look at what we call the velocity. It's the wind within that storm. Normally, we kind of look for some green and reds to be together here, and we're just not seeing that right now, but what we are seeing are some lighter colors next to darker colors, and that could be a good indication of not only some rotation within that storm, but also where we have the possibility of some hail. So right about here, between about LaQuinn and Leroy Township, almost into Barclay. All right, and notice where we have the arrows automatically placed, all right? The technology within our radar is pretty neat. It's able to identify the intense part of the storm and almost put a marker on it and then show the direction that it's moving, and that's where it's going. So Franklandale, Highland, you are going to get some nasty weather pretty soon. Thomas, you can do whatever you need with Lynx 1 if you want. We'll kind of change this out, give you another perspective, something that we don't normally show on the 5 and 6 o'clock news on a regular basis. This is our severe threats mode. We can, again, our radar can look inside the storm. It's able to see what's going on, especially as the storm gets a little bit closer to the actual radar site. We're getting into that right about now. The purple tells me where we have a greater chance of some larger hailstones out of this. Right now, it's not quite in Barclay Township yet, but it is in LaQuinn and Quinlan Town. This heading in this direction. Be prepared for that. We've seemed to have a lot of reports of sizable hail lately from some of these storms. So, you know, that's the kind of damage that can happen to your car. You know, your car's outside, you get some sizable hailstones to come out of this. Next thing you know, you got some little dings in the paint of your car. So that is certainly within the realm of possibility here. We're also checking our hail tracker and hail potential. We're not showing too much of that right now, so that is certainly a good sign. And now we'll put it back into the normal perspective of what we're used to seeing with the radar imagery every night, where you have that heavier rain. That's the purple and the red, and that general direction that it is moving into. Thomas, what are you looking at over there?
Right now, I'm checking out the timing on this system and seeing how far out it is. Most of these cities are still a ways off, so Tawanda, it's watching that one as it goes a little further towards the northeast. And I was looking at also the rotation. You were mentioning this. We do have a little spin that can be seen. So Josh was mentioning how this is going to show you some of the winds within the storms, and we watch for bright colors. We want to see the bright greens, bright reds. That's where we can see where there's a little rotation. It helps us to tell where the winds are going opposite directions, and that can create some spin in the atmosphere. Some of the higher winds right now are just a little south of Minorville, and it looks like the storm, even though the heaviest rains are a little north of where this is picking up, some higher winds just to the south, and we're seeing maybe some weak rotation here. It's not a lot, but it is still enough where this storm is moving towards the northeast, and we're finding that as it drifts more towards Tawanda. Still a ways out from that region, but we're still watching that as it continues to move off. Likely we're going to see this other warning back towards the southwest. I believe that will likely be canceled in the next few minutes or let go. We're starting to get out of the danger zone there as these storms continue to move more towards Bradford County. But showers and thunderstorms continue. We're still going to be dealing with this for a little while longer as the storms continue to move more towards the northeast. Likely to see that continue. And just kind of giving you a little wider picture, going back to the radar, we've got a lot of these storms that are developing in this heat, humidity. We've been talking about this, where we saw a lot of extra sunshine earlier this morning. That's where we're finding a lot of these storms developing just sooner. As expected, this was timed about as we thought it was going to be happening, but as more of these showers and thunderstorms move towards the east, we'll find this very similar atmosphere. More showers, more storms can form there. We're going to be watching around Tawanda for the time being as this storm continues to move there. Some strong showers, thunderstorms just south of the warning itself, outside of Leroy. The rotation, as I mentioned, is actually just on the very edge around the Bethel area. It looks like it's very broad, but it is enough to warrant this warning as it moves out towards the northeast, and it's still a danger to many in Bradford County. So if you're hearing thunder, you should be getting inside, especially around the Bradford County area, and we've got more of that to go. Areas out ahead of it, keep this in mind. You're not underneath the warning, but if you're in Susquehanna County and you're just tuning in, this is still going to be an issue for you, but not for the time being. Bradford County, parts of Sullivan County at the moment still underneath this for just a little longer. We have just another minute or two until they'll likely let that one go. And then we'll have the other warning also still in place till 4 o'clock. So we've got about 15 minutes left until this warning itself will possibly be canceled. The storm around Tawanda, though, does seem to have weakened. The rotation itself broadened out, but we're going to keep watching it. And there you can just see the warning has now just been canceled. So we've hit 3:45. So the one for Sullivan County and out further west, that one's now let go. And we only have this one tornado warning in place for the time being, and we'll have to keep a close eye on that one. And I don't believe they have issued anything else for the Union Snyder. I see they've still been watching the one over Union Snyder. They're still issuing a severe thunderstorm for that one until 4:30. So it still looks like we're going to be dealing with that one as well, but they're talking about things continuing as it moves over the Lewisburg area, but we'll have to keep watching that. But this storm continuing to move towards Tawanda in the next few minutes, moving at about 25 miles an hour, still some hail with it as well. We're expecting a lot of these storms to be producing a lot of high wind as they move along. So even if you're not seeing a tornado on the ground, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be seeing some significant damage. High winds are going to create most damage that we see, that combined with hail. We're not seeing a lot of the typical markers for hail with this storm as it moves along, but high winds, quick downbursting winds are likely as we rush a lot of that upper level wind down to the surface. So if you're again in the track, just keep that in mind that we might be dealing with that for the next half hour or so as you're seeing that storm system move towards the Towanda area. Towanda just got hammered with a lot of heavy rain with this storm that's moving to the northeast as well. But it looks like the heaviest rains for now continue to move just over the LeQuinn area, if I'm saying that correctly, and moving out towards the northeast. You should be getting into your safe place. If you're in Bradford County, even if you're a little north of it, go ahead and give yourself the extra time. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and be a little safer. Give yourself the extra time that you need just in case. Find your safe place, lowest level of your house. If you have a basement, that's a great place. Avoid the outdoor windows or just the very edges of your home as best you can as that continues to move toward the north. Hey, Josh, looks like we have another tornado warning to our south. I believe there might be another one that was...
Something, yeah. Let's see what's going on here. And this is for Lycoming and Sullivan County until 4:15. All right, so let's jump back over to links 2, and we'll get this radar situated for a little bit of a better perspective for you to see at home. So now we have another tornado warning for Lycoming and Sullivan County until 4:15. So you have the two flashing red boxes here. Yet technically, I know it's not a flashing red box, but you get the idea. So the one in Bradford County, that is a warning until that is until 4 o'clock. So the Bradford County storm, the one we've been talking about here a lot lately, this is in effect until 4 o'clock. And now this storm is now a tornado-warned storm near Picture Rocks that is moving into Sullivan County, and this one is now in effect until 4:15. So if you live between Picture Rocks and LaPorte, also near Hillsgrove, you need to think about you, your family, and your safety. So you kind of want to get into the lowest level of your home, preferably a basement. If you can't go into a basement, first floor is fine. Stay away from the outside walls. Stay away from windows. Turn up the volume on your TV so you can hear us when it is safe to do so, and when you have time. That's when you can download the Eyewitness weather app and you're able to track all of this with us. So we talked a little bit about the technology within our radar. So what I want to do here, we're going to do this together, so I'm not exactly sure what's going to pop up. So we kind of get these information boxes that give us a sense of perhaps what is going on within that storm. So to kind of explain this out to you, it's technically classified. The one as this is the one we're talking about. Technically classified as a severe storm, moving off to the northeast at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Top of that storm is at about 23,000 feet. Think about that. It's not quite as high as most jets fly, but sometimes when you're flying into State College or Williamsport or Scranton, your flight level can be around 18, 20, or 22,000 feet in some of those smaller planes. So it gives you a little bit of perspective of how tall that thunderstorm actually is. Usually radar has a tendency to overestimate how large the hail is. So a general rule of thumb when we kind of show you these boxes is to take that estimated hail size and cut it in half. So perhaps a quarter of an inch. It's pea-sized hail, enough to do some damage, to the paint on your car for sure. And that is a tornado index. So what happens with that is the radar gets all of this information from the storm and spits out a tornado index. And for our part of the world, when you're getting into 3s and 4s, that's a good sign that this storm is in fact rotating. So some rotation within that storm, which when you get that potential rotation, that's when National Weather Service says, all right, we need to be careful here. We need to issue a tornado warning, and that is in fact what they did here. So that is the second tornado warning that we have. This one from about Picture Rocks to now Beach Glen. That's where we're showing some of the nastiest weather. It is still, the weather's not the best right now in LaPorte or Longbrook. It's raining. The wind is perhaps getting a little bit gusty. In Eagles Mere right now, probably things, relatively speaking, for a few minutes on the quiet side. But also follow that arrow, follow that storm. So we have been watching this, nasty weather right now near Beach Glen. And this is nasty here. Heavy rain, potential for flash flooding within that thunderstorm. All right, so if that's not enough, there are a lot of lightning and thunder too. Eagles Mere, that nasty weather coming here. It's raining pretty good in LaPorte now. It's only going to get worse. Longbrook, yeah, that's coming in your direction as well. So be prepared for that. It's been a humid day. These thunderstorms develop, wring out all of the moisture in the atmosphere, and the result for us is the strong, if not severe, thunderstorms. Thomas, it's likely going to be a bit of a long afternoon here in the weather department with some of these thunderstorms around.
Yeah, so we're still going to be dealing with this for a couple more hours. Even if these storms dwindle down in the next few minutes, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing much of improvement with a lot of them. At the moment, still finding these strong storms moving towards the northeast. Sandy, if we could switch over to one real quick. We've got some showers and thunderstorms. Here's the northern one that's still over Bradford at the moment. They are starting to broaden out when it comes to the rotation. This northern one for Lycoming County, for Bradford County is still until 4 o'clock. So we have a few more minutes on this one, but as Josh said, just because these storms might be wrapping up soon, we've still got a ways to go into the rest of the evening. Storms are still likely for the rest of tonight, in fact, for several more hours as we go towards the sunset. And looking a little more towards the south, this tornado warning also still in place. This one, very broad rotation as well. In fact, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing very much. I'm just going to switch it over to the velocity. You can see there's not a lot of bright greens here or the reds showing up. We're still trying to see something around Beach Glen and north of Glen Mar, but it doesn't look like there's a lot on the radar for the time being. And then you bounce back. You notice that where you're seeing those bright colors is where there's a lot of the heavier rains as well. This will be moving towards the northeast, so around the LaPorte area, probably in the next 20 to 30 minutes, it looks like. But heavy rainfall, even if you don't have a tornado on the ground. We're talking about high winds, likely to see some hail as well. Damage is possible. Even if you don't have a tornado or a funnel on the ground, we are going to be seeing those high winds as this moves along, and a lot of high winds, heavy rainfall, some ponding, likely to see a little minor flooding. That's short term. But keep in mind, if we aren't talking about a tornado that is on the ground, that can be life endangering itself. So please take it seriously when we say get inside. For as long as you're underneath this warning, just stay inside and stay safe for as long as it needs to happen. Around the Beach Glen area right now, that's where we're seeing that very weak rotation. Notice where it gets a little darker out to the west of Beach Glen, and then it's slightly brighter on the very edge. There's not much there. It is not a very defined rotation, what we call a rotation couplet, but there is still going to be some weak rotation for a little while before we can start to break that up. For the rest of the evening, as we said, we're talking about high winds, heavy rainfall, and hail and tornadoes also possible. We've already seen several warnings. There have been a few reports of some high winds and a little damage outside. We're going to be seeing that off and on in the next couple of hours. So even if we get rid of these showers and thunderstorms in the next few minutes, there's more possible tonight that might be creating some strong storms. Just bring this back up as we go into the next few minutes.
Thomas, I'm not trying to cut you off,
You're good?
But we have yet another tornado warning for Bradford County until 4:30. All right, so the next, or the latest tornado warning has just been issued. This is for Bradford County until 4 o'clock. So let's go in here and see exactly what our National Weather Service is looking at. All right, so it looks like what they basically did here is issued a tornado warning for the same storm, but just kind of redrew the people who are going to be affected by this storm right now. So the initial one is still in place, but basically we kind of repositioned the warning. We call it a polygon. All right, so it's a warning polygon, those flashing things. In our weather world, we call them like a severe weather polygon. So that is what they basically have done here, is just kind of repositioned the polygon to include not only more people, but to perhaps define it a little bit better. So this is the new one right here. Still that intense part of the storm from Franklandale to outside of South Branch. I'm not sure if we have a little bit of a hook trying to develop right here or not, but that is something we'll need to keep an eye on. But this is still the nastiest part of the storm between Franklandale and South Branch, and it's moving in this direction here. So Towanda, weather's going to get nasty. Asylum Township, your weather's going to get nasty again. So that's tornado warning here. In the northern part of the county, this is where things kind of get confusing. I know that. This is a severe thunderstorm warning right here between Orwell Township and East Herrick Township. This is just a standard severe thunderstorm warning. It's still nasty. Downpours, damaging wind, hail potential. But this one so far does not have any rotation within it, at least enough to say that there needs to be a tornado warning. So this is going to be moving into Lauraysville, and then it's going to cross over into Susquehanna County. So Friendsville, Choconut, Forest Lake, you are in the path of this storm. So that's the leading nasty weather. And then we have the secondary storm that is back here, generally for the moment, south and southwest of Towanda. So two nasty thunderstorms right now in Bradford County. And Thomas has pulled up an interesting piece of technology on that our radar can use. It's in our weather world, we call it the correlation coefficient, but that's a lot of inside jargon, so we've kind of called it the debris tracker. So what are you looking at with that thunderstorm that is, south of Towanda, Thomas?
So right now what I'm looking at, we're showing you, notice that these bright colors here on what Josh mentioned, we're going to call it the debris tracker. A lot of the times this is something that can help show us what's happening in certain parts of the storm. So what we're looking at right now, all the red you're seeing, that's where we're seeing a lot of the rainfall. But when you start to see the colors change, things get a little wonky. In these strong storms, right now this is where the tornado warning storm is, and where you start to see the colors change to the yellows, often that's going to be hail. But when you start to see the colors change to the brighter yellows, sometimes blue, that can sometimes be things that are lofted in the air.